The Killer Beauty. Hamid Bougar met a French woman in her 40s while wandering along the Corniche in Agadir. For several years, he had developed a habit of luring foreign female tourists who were seeking pleasure. He would accompany them during their stay, and once they left, he would look for others. He thought he had finally found a beautiful, young, and rich woman, but his calculations were off. Police files. The stories we present to you are drawn from real life. We have deliberately changed the names of individuals and sometimes places. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental. The Killer Beauty in Agadir. During the mid-1990s, Hamid Bougar became known for accompanying older foreign female tourists. Although he was in his 30s and not well educated, his broken English, French, and even Spanish were enough to lure that kind of woman into his traps. He would spend a week or two with each, pleasing them in exchange for money. He enjoyed fine dining and shopping for luxury clothes, and he had no shame in letting those women pay for everything, even his own clothes. He gained a certain notoriety. Tourists would look for him as soon as they arrived in Agadir. In a way, he had become a popular commodity. Women who had spent time with him would eagerly share their experiences with friends, and Hamid became a central figure in a discreet form of sex tourism. One summer night in 1998, while wandering the Corniche, Hamid ended up in a nightclub. There, by chance, he met a French woman named Caroline Ribot. He later learned she was 40 years old, though her slim figure made her look 30. She was flattered when Hamid told her she looked much younger than her age. Mademoiselle Caroline, as he liked to call her, spent 15 days with him, spending money without restraint. One evening, she confided in him that she was the heiress of a wealthy businessman who had passed away years ago. Hamid had no reason to doubt her story, and after hearing it, he began considering marrying her. She was young, beautiful, and a ticket out of his life with older women. Caroline seemed equally pleased with Hamid and may have had her own plans. On the last night of her stay, Hamid confessed he had fallen in love with her. She surprised him by asking him to marry her and move with her to France. He agreed, seeing no reason to turn back. The marriage happened quickly. Caroline returned to France, while Hamid began assembling documents for a family reunification visa. In Paris, she pushed the process forward, and within a month, Hamid had his visa and a plane ticket she had sent him. Caroline was waiting for him at Charles de Gaulle Airport. She took him to her apartment, and they passed by the Eiffel Tower on the way. Her apartment was filled with friends eager to meet him, and the welcome party lasted until dawn. In the following days, Hamid enjoyed Caroline's company and money. He noticed how she spent large sums and often carried significant cash in her car. She frequented places filled with young men and would often leave him waiting in the car. At first, he still believed she was a wealthy heiress. But eventually, he discovered the truth: Caroline was a member of a drug trafficking network. By then, it was too late. Hamid had already become addicted to cocaine, with Caroline herself having given him his first dose. Now dependent and obedient, he unknowingly became part of the network. From time to time, when she felt under police surveillance, she had Hamid carry drugs to certain addresses. Eventually, he became fully involved in the smuggling operation, especially when they traveled to Morocco twice a year under the pretext of vacationing in Agadir or Marrakesh. Hamid would coordinate with suppliers and oversee the shipment process. After completing everything, they would return to Europe, sometimes through Tangier, sometimes from Ceuta, and at other times via Nader. Over the years, they managed to smuggle significant quantities of hashish. Hamid, now a seasoned player, earned well like the rest of the network. He had a respectable bank account, but his health began to decline. He became frail, chain-smoked, and abused cocaine and hashish. A visit to the doctor revealed a grim diagnosis: terminal throat cancer. Eating became torture, and swallowing unbearable. Knowing the end was near, Hamid made one final request to Caroline: to bury him in Agadir. But she had other plans. She asked him to sign a paper stating he wished to be buried in Paris, claiming it was needed for administrative purposes. His poor French prevented him from understanding the document fully, and he signed. The signature was notarized. In his final days, Caroline brought him to a clinic in Agadir with his medical file. His condition was hopeless, and 20 days later, he died. Only Caroline knew about his death. She kept it from his family living in a nearby village. After his passing, she dressed in black and called a friend from France, asking him to bring a coffin. That friend, Sebastian Luchu, brought a special coffin designed for smuggling drugs. They washed and shrouded Hamid's body and placed it in the coffin. After the necessary paperwork was done, a police officer came to inspect and seal the coffin with wax and a copper stamp. Everything appeared in order, and the coffin was scheduled to be loaded onto a Paris-bound plane the next afternoon. That night, Caroline and her friend opened the coffin from the bottom and placed large quantities of cocaine and hashish around Hamid's body, even stuffing some inside the shroud. They resealed the coffin flawlessly. The next morning, the coffin was brought to Agadir airport. Caroline, still wearing black, struggled to hide her joy as the coffin was registered. But then, the unexpected happened: an announcement called Madame Caroline Bougar to the police office. She stood up and walked over, only to find Hamid's grieving mother demanding to see her son's face one last time. Caroline was shocked. How did this old woman find out? She claimed the coffin couldn't be opened because of the police seal, but the mother insisted. The officer pitied her and contacted the public prosecutor. To Caroline's horror, the prosecutor approved the coffin's reopening under police supervision. She panicked, making excuses about the flight time, but it was useless. When the coffin was opened, officers were stunned. 30 bags of cocaine, each weighing 3 kilograms, were found surrounding the body, along with a large amount of hashish. Caroline and her friend were arrested. During interrogation, they confessed to working for a Paris-based network that operated across Europe. Once the investigation concluded, the Agadir police commissioner compiled a full report to send to French authorities, exposing the entire network. Caroline admitted to tricking Hamid into signing a document that contradicted his true wish to be buried in Morocco. Thanks to her confession, Hamid's mother reclaimed his body, and he was buried in his village.